Alrighty, so the video for today, this is an incident that happened in, I think it's called Calmack, Arkansas, Cammack, Arkansas. I don't know much about the place other than the fact that I looked it up on Wikipedia. They only have 798 people in this community, which tells me something, tells me this is a very small community, probably is a very small police department, probably has a part-time police department. There's a lot of very small police departments across the country that have a full-time chief and then part-time officers. Without looking into it, I would suspect this is one of those departments. This is going to be a very bad incident. Nobody dies, so it could definitely have been worse. But I don't know. What we'll do is we're going to watch the first maybe 3 minutes of this. And then I'm going to come back in and we're going to go kind of step by step through. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And I want everyone to remember that while we're doing this for the purposes of making policing better. And that's a goal that a lot of people have when they talk about police reforms. And I'm often one of the people that stands up and says, you know what? That's not a reform, or that idea is stupid. And people will say, well, you're just against reform, you're against accountability. That's not true. It's just that I know policing inside and out, and the people who are proposing things don't necessarily know what they're talking about. That's what I take exception with. So while we're watching this video, there's a variety of things that have been introduced that are supposed to make policing better. And I want you to think about this video through that lens and think what reforms have been introduced that would make this situation not a bad situation, but it would be a good situation. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and skip to the video here. I'm going to get out of the way. We'll watch and I'll be back in a minute.
How can I help you?
Yeah.
Doing good? How can I help you?
My name.
Okay.
My name or anything?
I mean, yeah. What can I do for you?
Just wanted to talk. I put my thumb out. You didn't pull over.
Okay. What can I do for you? Are you okay?
I'm solid, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can I do for you, man?
Just wanted to chat. I put my thumb out. You didn't respond. So.
Oh man, I can't stop in the middle of traffic. I pulled over. I mean, I'm here, aren't I?
I mean, it's not really traffic. You know what I
Okay. Well, I can't park in the middle of the street. I mean, it's not necessary.
I understand.
What can I do for you? You got ID with you, my man?
I'm solid. I don't need anything.
Okay. What you doing out here, my friend?
Walking.
Okay. Well, was that you that moved the cones over there?
No.
You sure? 'Cause I was told you did. Why don't you have a seat over here? Let's talk, man. If you don't mind, let's have a seat. I need to see some ID, sir.
Back.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Turn around. Turn around.
Don't do that.
Turn around. Do not do this.
Bro,
do not do this.
You
Turn
don't wanna
around.
do this.
You turn around.
You
turn
don't
the
wanna,
fuck around.
You don't want to do this, bro.
Turn around. Turn around. Stop resisting.
You don't want to do this.
Can you give me another unit? Brentwood, North McKinley, stop. Stop. Stop fighting.
Just let me go. I'll sit on the bench.
No, you're under arrest right now.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands behind your back.
Sir.
You under
Stop.
Tase him, Tosh. Get on the ground. Tase him now, God damn it!
I'm trying to get the taser.
God damn it.
Fucker.
Josh, hit him again!
Ah, shit, I shot my fucking self.
God damn it, you be right now. Stupid.
What a shit show. I would like to do this without sounding too condescending, but it's going to be difficult. The very beginning of the video, and I think I forgot to mention at the beginning, what happened here was the chief of police for this small community was out in public, and he noticed a guy walking down the street barefoot, moving traffic cones in the road. So what he did is he called his patrol officer and said, hey, can you go see what this guy's deal is? So patrol officer shows up, and his initial approach was not bad. It just shows that he doesn't have experience. Some of the things that he was doing was he was being a broken record, saying the same thing over again. I think he was saying, what can I do what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? And the guy was adamant, you can't do anything for me. Nothing. When you get this, when you find yourself being a broken record, you have to find new things to say. He was like, what are you doing out here? And the guy said, walking. Okay, well, that he just gave you something. Then you say, where are you walking? Where are you headed? Where are you coming from? You know, these are all things that you can do to expand this conversation, to get it into something that it didn't turn out to be. And you have to realize too, that this is an obvious situation where the guy's either has some kind of mental illness, or he's high, or it's a combination of the two. And you need to act accordingly. This isn't just a simple criminal situation where the guy's not following commands and you need to go hands on. This guy he's having some kind of mental issue. It was very clear by the way he was talking. And you have to be careful not to make them feel trapped in this situation. And the place where it started to go wrong, that caused this guy to turn and walk away, was when the officer said, hey, go ahead and have a seat and give me your ID. Those are two things that when a police officer says, you're being detained, you know, that's when it sends off alarm bells in someone's head. It's like, oh crap, like this is not going the way I want it to go. I am in risk of no longer being in control of this situation. So I'm going to turn and walk. That's where it all started to go bad. And that's just one of those situations that as a police officer, you learn how to deal with that stuff as you get more experience. I can tell you that when I was new, I might have done the very same thing, might have gotten myself in that same situation. I know for a fact that I did get myself into some situations where I ended up having a use of force that could have been avoided if I knew what I was doing a little bit better before. And that's not necessarily a question of training. It's a question of experience, because you can tell somebody what to do all day and all night, but they don't actually know how to do it until they find themselves in that situation. And you can tell that this officer was not used to being in that situation, didn't know what was going on.
Come here. Turn around.
This is the next part where I start to like, man, if somebody had more experience, they wouldn't be doing these things. When you got a subject who is high or crazy or a combination of the two, you don't want to go hands on with that person when you're by yourself, if you don't have any backup. You want to try to continue to even walk with that person if you have to, continue to talk to them, can try to get them talking while you're on your radio asking for backup. Once you have more cars, when you have more people, then you can go ahead and grab onto that person. It's safer for everybody involved.
Turn around. Do not do this.
Bro,
do not do this. Turn around.
And then also, nobody ever has been trained to grab onto a person like this. We're starting to get into territory of my belief that this guy maybe just mentally isn't there to be a police officer, and maybe this is not a job for him, because he's starting to make some more critical mistakes that I'm like, I don't know how much training we can give you. Like, you have to be able to apply some of the things that you're being taught. Nobody was ever taught to grab a hold of a person like this.
You turn around. Turn the fuck around.
You don't want to do this, bro.
Turn around. Turn around. Stop resisting.
You don't want to do this.
Can you give me another unit? Brentwood, North McKinley, stop. Stop. Stop fighting.
So here, this is the actual chief of police walking up to assist young Joshua here with this combative person.
Just let me go. I'll sit on the bench.
No, you're under arrest right now.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands behind your back.
Stop.
Tase him, Tosh.
So this is the next problem. As soon as this confrontation became aggressive, or went from a passive resistance situation to an active resistance situation, the chief said, go ahead and tase him now. He's yelling at him to tase him. You've got two officers here that are large individuals. You probably outweigh this subject by 300-400 pounds combined. You don't necessarily need to go straight to your taser. There's a taser dependency problem. The other issue is that in order to get to his taser, he has to let go of the suspect. If he's letting go of the suspect, Now you have your chief who's fighting with him all by himself, and the suspect has both of his hands free. Me personally, I would rather have both of us go hands on. We can put this guy on the ground, and then we can address the situation there. Instead, you can see how it complicates things once he goes for a taser.
Get on the ground. Tase him now, goddammit!
I'm trying to get the taser.
God damn it.
And that's just like something out of a freaking Super Troopers or something. So this guy, he's never practiced drawing his taser. He has to look down to find his taser, which I'm always aware of where my taser is. My taser is always right here. I rest my hands on my taser a lot of the time. You tap it with one finger and you push it forward with your thumb, grab it with the other hand, and you're good to go. The problem is he had his handcuffs on his taser rather than in his cuff case. I don't know. It's bad.
Tase him now, goddammit!
I'm trying to get the taser.
God damn it.
Fucker.
Then he's limp wristing it, gets his taser kicked away. So now he's no longer in the fight. You can see what's happening to his chief here. This is not a good situation.
Josh,
That was a misfire with the taser.
you again.
Ah, shit, I shot my fucking self.
And then he shoots himself with the taser. So a lot of these situations began when the chief told him to go ahead and draw his taser. Something that he was not prepared to do, something that he didn't know how to do. And we don't need to watch the rest of it. But I don't know, when my overall thinking when I watch this video, it's very frustrating because we're watching someone that has no business being a police officer. And you can talk about how we can prepare him to be a police officer. I don't think that in his physical state, he would be able to even get hired by the police department that I work for. Now, once you have some years experience, you can kind of develop a physique of that nature, from sitting in a cruiser and eating fast food for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a decade or more. I understand how that stuff happens, but he would not be getting hired by my department. One of the problems with incidents like this is that this village it's a very small village. They have 798 people. At least they did in 2010. They might have 900 by now. I don't know. But I'm almost willing to bet that they have a part-time police department. When you have a part-time police department, you're not going to be attracting highly qualified candidates. You're going to be getting the candidates that are unable to get a job somewhere else in a lot of the cases. You also have a situation where a small-time, part-time police department like this, they don't have the money to send people to training. They just don't. They don't have the experience in the department that can get these people trained up. One of the problems that I have also with this whole training idea is that when you're dealing with small departments that don't deal with this kind of thing very often, in my opinion, yes, there is an amount of training that can get these officers to a point where they can handle these things very proficiently very proficiently, even though they very rarely deal with these situations. But you'd have to put officers through an incredible amount of training. And then the problem is when you start mandating this training from on high, from a state level, because, for instance, officers where I work a very large department. I work a very busy inner city precinct. I literally deal with somebody like this 2-3 times a week. So I get my training regularly on the street. I'm dealing with these people. I have backup available. If I'm not doing something right, somebody else will take over, and we're able to mitigate these kinds of situations. Other officers who work very, very small towns, very quiet communities where not a lot of crime happens and stuff like this doesn't happen very often, when they deal with this kind of situation, it might go bad more frequently, causing people to believe that, we need to state mandate more training. In order to state mandate enough training to get these guys to be comfortable with this, where they might only deal with this situation once every couple of years, you're talking about state mandating a lot of training hours that is just not feasible for most departments to take their guys off the street and go to this kind of training. So the other issue that I have is that this being a very small time, part-time police department, I have an issue with police departments like this even existing. And I might ruffle some feathers when I say that, but if you don't have the ability to have multiple people on your agency that have experience, so that they can help mentor guys like him along, and you don't have the ability to send guys to training and all that, I don't understand why you feel that it's necessary for you to be a police department. I think some of these small time police departments are being a little bit selfish, and they're not serving their communities appropriately because they're unable to provide the amount of resources needed. I think in a situation like this, the jurisdiction should be handled by the county or state agency, or the large city should maybe incorporate this small village. The area where I work, we have a couple small villages, and I can tell you that the caliber of guys working for those agencies is not very high. If I were to propose some kind of police reform, that would be the kind of reform that I would propose to prevent guys like this from being on the street and getting put in these kind of situations. Taking away qualified immunity is not going to affect that. I don't know. There's a lot of other weird police reform ideas that people have that are not going to stop situations like this from going bad. Hiring more social workers, sending social workers on the street is not going to stop this from happening. This is not a situation where a social worker would have been able to solve this problem. And no social worker is ever going to want to approach a man like this without having the police around as well. So, I don't know. Those are going to be my thoughts for this video. If I had to button it up, I'd say that Josh here, he should not be a police officer. He needs to go find something else that he can do for himself. Yeah, he's not prepared to be able to do this job. That's about all I got today. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.